Hello, Cheeseheads. Welcome to another video from the Cheese Room podcast. We've subbed in Caller for Seb. Hi, Caller.
If I'm honest, I'm normally in the directing chair here, so this is an alien experience for me being a guest. But hello, the Cheese Room Massive and the Facebook Massive and everybody else. Hello, Mr. Globetrotter and Mr. General. How are you?
I'm good. HG, how you doing? Haven't seen you for a couple of hours.
Exactly. I've changed rooms at least, so I've got a new background for you.
I've changed my outfit. I think I'm at an award show or something. Also, Caller, cheers, because we know you've got a PS5 you want to go and play against like little teenage kids and beat them at FIFA.
New PS5. I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. That's shown my age because let's face facts. If I was in my 20s, I'd be on it. Yeah, and you guys out there on the YouTube or the Facebook would not be getting a look in tonight.
So
this is what I sacrificed for the Cheese Room.
It's an amazing
In fairness, I don't know about you two. I've had the best evening. I come home from work, barbecue, got some burgers on the go, little lamb kebabs. Oh, beautiful! Lit the fire pit in the table. Sat down, had a couple of Peronis. Had a text off Paul Muir saying, "You working out?"
You're lifting stuff, isn't it?
In fairness,
I've
not drunk hardly anything, and as you can probably tell by my demeanour, and my knees buggered because I've been running a lot, and so that's my excuse for a night off. So I think I got that past him, and onward with the show.
Good. I've explained the concept to Caller, but he might still get it wrong, so we're going to go in anyway.
Likely.
I'll start off with UHG. Even though, actually, no, I've got to start off with Caller with this one. Harry Winks, Caller. Keep or sell this summer?
Obviously sell, but no one will be stupid enough to buy him.
But, so you're completely done with him now? Had enough, yeah?
I was done with him about a year and a half ago, to be honest. I mean, the guy is a poor man's Scott Parker. He can run around in little circles, but he can't pass the ball very well. And unless it's a tea bag going into a cup, he's pretty useless at passing the ball. And he just doesn't offer anything. That's my issue with Winks. I don't dislike it. People get like hung up. Oh, you've got a grudge against this person. You go, you're like that with Winks, like HG is with Lamella. Well, no, HG just genuinely doesn't like Lamella. I don't dislike anyone. I'm goading. I don't dislike anyone. I just think that Winks doesn't offer enough to the team to take up a squad place. The only thing he has going for him is he's homegrown.
And HG, that's probably going to be less important when we get Mr. Skip back in the summer, isn't it?
Well, this is it. I mean, Skip doesn't even, he won't even qualify for the 25-man squad. He'll still be an under-21 player. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter how many you've got of where. You just can't have more than 17 foreigners. And so if you've got a 25-man squad and some of them are under 21, the homegrown doesn't matter so much anyway. It's sad with Winks because when he came into the team, I mean, it's 3 or 4 seasons ago now, but like he looked like a good player. And we all remember, I mean, I think you went, Franco, to Madrid and watched us play there. And, he was a massive part of that side. And you do wonder what's happened. He's almost turned into, another Jermaine Genius. I feel like Genius, when he actually went forward and tried to do something, tried to change the game, then he was a much better player. But if you sat him next to just said, right, pass it sideways, well, anyone can do that. And I think Winks is almost, maybe he's been following instructions, but he does the talent that our other midfielders have. And with Skip being far more defensively aware, you have to think that he's going to take his place. Yeah. It's sad for Winks because he's a Spurs fan. People want Spurs fans to play for the team, and he clearly gets what it means to be a fan of the club and to love the club. But yeah, I think for his own career, and it's going to be like Townsend. He's going to go somewhere else in the UK and have a good Premier League career, but he'll never be the Spurs legend that perhaps he wanted to be.
Yeah, I think you're right. Up next, Sissoko, HG, another one that's probably not going to be around at Spurs for much longer, even if he does stay past this summer.
Like his contract is for another couple of seasons, sadly. He's 32 in the summer. It was ridiculous to give him a contract extension. If you keep him, why do you keep him? Because he's mates with Dombele? I mean, that's pretty much the only reason now. I don't think he offers anything. I don't think he offers anything that we need. He's certainly not the future of the club. And so if we can get money for him and, keep him within London so he can still be mates with Dombele, then great. But he shouldn't have a future at Spurs. He's already been, 4 seasons too long, frankly.
Do you agree, Caller? Because we probably need to get someone else in if we're going to ship both of these guys out. I know Skip coming in, but there's talk of Sabitz. That rumour won't go away. So would you be happy to see Sissoko leave?
For Sabitzer, yeah, absolutely. Because it'd be an upgrade. I'm happy to see any upgrade in the squad. And ultimately, Sissoko, let's not forget, how long's he been with us? About 5 years, 4 years, 5 years?
Forever.
Yeah, 5 years. He signed in 2016. It's
he
a
was
long
garbage.
time.
The first 2 seasons, he was absolute garbage. Couldn't trap a ball, garbage, terrible. Then he sort of had a bit of a renaissance for a season and a half. And he's been a bit part player really since. So I don't really see what the downside is to selling him. A bit of experience, maybe you lose a bit of experience and you lose a guy who's quite popular in the dressing room with the French speakers. Yeah. But given that, I don't know if we're talking about Aurier, but he potentially would be one that's out the door possibly anyway. So that kind of is, then it's only Tonga you've got to worry about, isn't it, really?
Maybe Tonga will build on his own.
I'm sure he'll cope. He's a big boy.
It was $200,000 a week. He can buy some friends.
Yeah, he can buy a lot of friends with that. Trust me. Yeah, especially in Soho.
What are you suggesting that Dombele do with his spare time?
Stop it. Come on, it's bordering on slander. We don't want to get our YouTube shut down. Right,
you put me on to Soho.
Right, this one's easy. Højbjerg, Caller.
Yeah, we'll keep him.
Yeah, you think?
Look, Højbjerg's been a decent player for us. Heartbeat in the midfield this season. Yeah, he's had a few rough games. I think more recently, I think he's probably a bit tired, fatigued because he's played. I think he's the 3rd highest minutes this season. I'm sure HG, Mr. Statistician, is Googling as we speak, or probably knows it off the top of his head more likely. But he's played a lot of minutes for us. And played, relatively well. I think he's been he's been what we needed in the midfield, in the fact that a holding midfielder who can distribute the ball, provides a bit of leadership and steel in there. So there's, it's a non-talking point really. It's an absolute keep.
Yeah, and let's be honest, he's played most of the season with either Winks or Sissoko. So I know and Ndombele more recently, but it's not probably been the ideal partnerships for him.
Just imagine if he had someone decent alongside him.
Yeah, exactly. HG, I guess you concur.
Yeah, that's just it. We needed him last summer. We still need him now. Yeah. Nothing's changed.
Absolutely. Okay, next, Ndombele. We've been talking about him. And, he's come on much better this season than last, obviously. So do we keep him? HG?
Yeah, because of the quality. That's just it. I've said it before on the pod. I do think there are games where he goes missing quite easily. I don't know if he's really worthy of the money that we paid for him because he doesn't bring it week in, week out. But when you've got the talent he has, you just have to hope that can happen and that we can get the best out of him, because we know on his best days he's one of, if not the best Premier League midfielder. He can do everything. So it's it's all about unlocking it. But yeah, we have to keep him. He's only 2 years here. He's still only young. 23 now, 24 perhaps. Yeah. His future's with Spurs. I can't see us getting rid of him.
No. Call up.
There's no talking point. There's no way he's being sold. At 60 whatever million, no one's going to pay that for him in the current climate. In reality, and Daniel Levy would not sign off on a transfer loss. I think that's the first thing. The finances speak for themselves. The second thing is he's had a semi-decent season this year. Not always productive. That's my criticism of him. So, for all the flair and the fact that he can beat several people, he's not dominating games. And he is young, like you've just pointed out, 23. I'm hoping he matures into a player who's really going to dominate games and put his, hold that midfield in the way that Moussa Dembele did for us. Really.
More to come, I think, is what we all hope for, definitely. Another guy's had 2 difficult seasons now. Lo Celso, Caller. What do we do with him? Again, we've not seen a lot of him this season, but surely you want to keep hold of him.
I want to get him fit and keep him fit. I think that's the biggest thing with Lo Celso, because when you see him, you want him on your team, don't you? I think he's quite clearly a very, very talented footballer, can beat a man, got drive, good engine, not scared to get stuck in. It's like almost like an intelligent Lamella on the ball. He knows when to put the needle in, and he's Argentinian, and I can't see why we'd want to get rid of him. But what I do want to see is more of him. I think if he has another season like this, where he's been injured for sort of at least 2/3 of it, bearing in mind what he was injured a lot last season as well. And we've got to consider moving him on. We've already got one in Argentinian sick note in the team. We can't afford another.
Then you get rid of the other Argentinian sick note and you keep Lo Celso.
Well, yeah, but I suppose my point is, if it went on for another season, you got to cut loose. You need players.
I do understand that. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, you said it perfectly. Intelligent Lamella, right? I mean, that is it. The guy has, I think, a better ability of scoring than Lamella. I think he's a better passer than Lamella. I think he knows what he wants to do, and he always wants the ball. I mean, like Lamella. I mean, you have to say that is true about Eric. He does always want the ball. But Lo Celso, we've seen him do it. We've seen him take over games at Spurs. I feel like his first season, obviously he started off with an injury, so we didn't see him for a very long time. But for the rest of the season, he seemed to be pretty much on it. So from January on, I think he was always available. This year, he was pretty. I think it was again the first few weeks he missed. And then he got injured in December and was out for 3 months. I'd like to think that it's not something that's going to happen more regularly, but I mean, it is the same with Lamella. They both got hip injuries, and having had a hip injury myself, I do know that it affects lots of things, and they're difficult to get right. I mean, there are various examples in other sports of players getting hip injuries, and they're never the same again. So it is worrying. But again, Lo Celso is 24, 25. I think he turns 25 next month. Dombele's just turned 24. Højbjerg is 25, maybe 26 in the summer. They're all approaching the prime of their career. We've got to keep all three of them.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say to that is the caveat is I don't think we've found a good combination that works consistently between the three of them.
No, but they've only played twice together now. They've not had that opportunity. I know the first time wasn't great.
Isn't that a worry in itself, though?
Well, it's mostly because of injury and because Jose refused to play them all together, isn't it? I don't know. Next season, I think we'll see it a lot more.
We've got to. I suppose that's my point. We've got to see it a lot more. Or what is the point in keeping these players if we're not going to get consistent minutes out of them? These are big footballers. Lo Celso arrived with a big fee. Tongi arrived with a big fee. You've got to have them on the pitch. They've got to be available. And I think. They both had injury issues. They're both very much in and out of the team and can't get rhythm going. We've really got to crack that midfield if we're going to do anything. Because again, this season it's been our second biggest issue. First biggest issue being centre-back pairings. But that midfield hasn't dominated a side all season.
I've said it all season. It's about partnerships. The team has to have partnerships. You need to have people on the wings that can work well together. You need to have people at centre back that can work well together. The strike pairing, whether it's a number 10 that's Kane and someone ahead of him, or people just need to understand each other's games, and we saw that. I mean, sadly, we did see it with that team a few years ago, and we want to see it again. And it's about finding the right balance. If you did play Højbjerg with Lo Celso and Dombele, which one is the 10, which one is the 8? Are they both 8s with license to go forward? It depends on the opponent. There are so many questions that we still don't know the answer to, and nothing really seems obvious when you see them play, right?
I almost wish we hadn't qualified for the Europa League this season. Because I think a lot of the if you look at how many games people have played, they are quite knackered, our team. They are quite knackered. And I think having that many games means that there's got to be lots of rotation. I really want to see a settled side. Because if you look at the teams that do well, generally speaking, they don't rotate their midfield partnership every week. They don't rotate the centre-back partnership every week. There's a solid. They do rotation in and out, don't get me wrong. But we seem to make wholesale changes almost every game.
Yeah. And that's the thing, isn't it? Because if you look at the league table, the only team above us that hasn't had European football this season is Everton. I mean, other teams have had it. So you do think, okay, what is the issue? Is it because we're doing similar to what Pochettino did and just making 9-10 changes for our midweek games, or are we doing what I think successful teams do, which is subbing 3 or 4 in? And obviously it's not the same 3 or 4 every week, but the majority of the team is what we would say first team level. If you've got 15 first teamers, then even better. But still, that I think is what I expected more from Mourinho in that area. But yeah, we're going off topic a little bit. But yeah, when it comes to midfielders, there's lots of them that we need to keep. It's only really Winks so far that is on his way out. Everyone else needs a bit more time.
Yeah.
So next we're going to talk about a guy that we've talked probably more than any other player in the squad this season, even though he's played probably the least, is Dele. So HG, we have discussed this a lot, but what do you think is going to happen in the summer?
What do I think is going to happen?
Oh no! Sorry. Okay, no. Sorry. Take that back. What do you want to happen?
I want him to stay.
Okay.
Like the skills that he has. He might be one of the lazier characters he always was. He might need a system to suit him best. Well, he always did. But the ability he has to get into the box and score important goals, you can't teach it. And really, we don't have enough goal scorers. I still believe that. So I understand that, yes, okay, homegrown helps him out. Maybe we won't get the money that we want for him. So, it'd be difficult to sell for the money that Levy would want. But no, a player like Dele, like unless his contract is running down and he wants to go, or he's not content to commit his future to the club, to me, you keep him around. I'm not so worried about finding, raising money by selling players. I want good players at Spurs, and to me, he still is one.
Cool, I agree with that.
Absolutely. He's a talented player, and for me, should he stay or should he go? For Dele's sake, he should probably go if Mourinho's going to stay the manager, because I don't think he's going to get football. I think that's the truth of it. So from Dele's position, I wouldn't blame him at all if he was pushing for a move. If he's not given some sort of guarantee of X amount of games a season.
But also from the team's point of view, isn't it? Because there's no point having a player. If Josie's not going to play and we can get 30-40 million for him, get someone in that he wants.
I mean, that's the thing, though, isn't it? It depends what transfer fee that he can get for him, and this is where I think there will be. I mean, it will disappoint a lot of people, but I think there won't be that many ins and outs.
But let's say that. I mean, let's say that Dele goes in the summer. He's just turned 25. By that point, we get 40 million for him. Where do we think Jose is going to spend the money? Right? He's probably going to look for someone who's a bit more experienced, maybe. So, I mean, Savitzer's older, but to me, Savitzer is not a Dele replacement. He might fit Mourinho's system more, but it's just I don't know. Like we need goals. That to me is the issue. We need goals. If it's just Kane and Son next season, we're still going to be struggling, and Dele can provide it. Now, if we continue with the 4-4-2, then Dele, I think, as one of the two, can work. But it all depends on how you want to play. If we're playing with a high line,
4-4-1-1 really with Dele in, wouldn't
it? Yeah, but if you said to him, you don't have to worry, because he never had to worry about defensive work. When we was really successful, he didn't have to worry about that. He had Wanyama and Dembele behind him. It was all about basically do what you want. Because the front four, we talked about this before. Kane could go where he wanted. Eriksen was sometimes the front man. Son had the pace. They worked so well together because they all had massively different characteristics, and none of them ever really had to worry about defensive work. Plus, we were playing a high line, so what defending did they really ever have to do? Mostly, it was just go and get the ball and then use it. If the system is similar under Mourinho, which I guess it's possible, then you keep Dele around. But if we're going to play counter-attacking football, then Dele shouldn't play those games. I mean, it'd be ridiculous. We saw in the documentary what he thinks of it. So that to me is the question. If you're going to play him, you have to play tactics that suit him. If you're doing a high press 4-4-2, Dele should be in the side, because I don't think anyone else can play that well with Kane. I think Kane and Dele is the best striking partnership we have, if I'm honest. I know Kane and Son have had a good year this year, a great year this year, but I still think it's more natural with Dele than it is with Son. So
I think, though, like I was saying previously, and I would say time and time again, finding a buyer for Dele is at the price that Daniel Levy will want. It is the challenge, and I think we're going to have to sell players to buy players, but I'm not sure Dele's going to be one of those people.
Yeah, but again, I just think if it's a player that's not going to play and Jose's not going anywhere for at least another year, then it makes sense to sell him for whatever we can.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't think any of us want him gone, but I suspect most of us think he might go.
Yeah.
Okay, up next, a player that none of us want to see leave because he's the best player in the team, Lamella. HG, I'll let you go first because I know you're bursting at the seams.
It's the same as every year. Like, I mean, he's had a good year this season, probably the best season he's had at Spurs.
Yep.
But that's still a pretty low bar.
It's not the best season he had at Spurs, is it?
Well, I feel like he's been more consistently good in the minutes he's got this season than any other season. Because the one where he did play a lot, 5-6 years ago now, I never thought he was particularly good then. So he seems to have affected the game more. He seems to be much better if he plays centrally, which he didn't do before. But it's similar to the other players in the squad that have 1 year left on their deal. If he doesn't want to commit, which I guess in his case he probably would, but if he doesn't want to commit long term, then you have to sell. I think that Sabitzer would be a very good replacement for someone like Lamella. So if that was to happen, then great. But yeah, he's going to be 29. No, he just turned 29, Lamella. So
he's 29 now. Yeah.
Yeah, it just
experienced.
Feels like now is the time to. He's a squad player.
Experienced at shithousery.
If he was 29 and starting every game, you keep him, right? But if he's 29 and is nothing more than a squad player, then let's get someone in. I mean, I would go younger still than Sabitzer, but let's get someone in because we have to build. We're still rebuilding. We have to build that team. I don't think Lamella's ever going to be more than what he is now, and I'd like to think we can do better.
Cola, do you not think there's an argument that he offers something that nobody else in the squad does, therefore he's worth having as an option?
Yeah, I do. I genuinely do. Firstly, I think it's going to be difficult to shift him in the current climate.
You think it's going to be difficult to shift all of our players, don't you? Like, no one wants them.
I do. I've seen minimal in and out, and I know that will upset a lot of people, but I do think it will be minimal. I'm prepared to be amazed if I'm wrong.
But this is it. Like, are you saying that because nobody has any money, or because our players aren't very good, or both?
Bit of A, bit of B.
There's a bit of both. I mean, why would anyone pay a fee for Lamella when they can hold out for a year and have him for nothing?
Because he can give them something else. That's the thing. That be the same with any transfer. Like if you only signed people that.
From Daniel Levy's perspective, depends what kind of fees on the table versus the value he sees in that player for keeping them for the last year of his contract if he's not going to sign a new one. So, if you're only going to get 8 million quid back for Lamella because he's got a year left on his contract, there's an argument that says, well, he's more than an £8 million talent to have in the side. Keep him for the year and let him go on a Bosman.
But the thing is, it's outs and ins, isn't it? I guess the point is that historically values have always gone up, so you don't want to sell a player for less because ideally their value should go up anyway. But at the minute, it's kind of like a depressed housing market, isn't it? Where everything's relative. So you sell your house for a loss, doesn't matter because the house you're going to buy is cheaper than it would have been anyway. So I'm not sure it's that much of an issue.
I'm just looking at Lamella's stats. He's actually been quite consistent throughout his Spurs career.
Well, not scored much, not assisted much.
Well, he's got 4 goals this season.
Yeah.
In 29 appearances. Last season it was 4 goals in 35. So consistent.
Yeah, I mean, and I want more. I mean, that's just it.
Right. My bottom line with Lamella is, I think you're right. I think he does give us something that no one else does. When he comes on the pitch, we play at a different tempo. He does lift the team to play a more pressing style. I've never seen him sent. I was amazed he got sent off in that. So if we can just dispel the myth about the sending off, that's happened once in his entire Spurs career. So that absolutely was a one-off. It doesn't normally happen. I like him. I like what he brings to the team. I think he's a great option to have on the bench to mix things up. I'd be quite happy if he signed a year or two's extension on his contract. I think he's been a good servant to the club. I think you always get 100%. And I wish you got 100% out of everyone in that dressing room.
Yeah.
Because if they all had Lamella's attitude, we wouldn't be struggling.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an argument that the idea with Lamella that he makes the team play fast with a higher tempo. It might just be because the team is worse than it used to be, and now we see it more. It might just be that Mourinho is very, very likes to play on the back foot, and suddenly Lamella, who doesn't want to do that ever, likes to be on the front foot. So you see it more. Like as I said, he's had a better year this season, but maybe I've been blinded by it.
Yeah, it might be that you're blind to HG. Right, moving on. Who have we got? We'll do Jack Clark.
Just clarify what you saying, Franco. Keep or sell Lamella?
I'd keep him. Yeah, I'd keep him definitely.
Yeah, let him go for free because that's the only way anyone will ever buy him.
Moving on to Jack Clark, who has obviously gone out on loan again this season. He's not played a huge amount. I think he's had 6 starts. Pretty sure I've watched them all on some really dodgy streams, like not even just delayed, like, you know, missing minutes of the game, that sort of stream. But he's looked all right, and he's not really been given the chances. Plenty of sub appearances, but it's experience for him. He is still quite young. So what do we think? Actually, do you think he's going to get many opportunities under Jose next season? So do you think we should keep him or move him on?
I think I don't think he's going to play for Spurs too much next season. He might hang around if we've got a Europa Conference League to look forward to or something akin to that. We've said it this season. We've got lots of people who like to play on the right hand side, and a lot of us would like to see Clark be given the minutes that maybe others have had.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be a world beater, but he is still young. He's still younger than Kane was when Kane came into the team. Those things, players need minutes. So if he's not going to get them at Spurs, he's going to go on another loan somewhere. It may just be to another championship club, and we may never really see the type of player that we thought we were going to get. But yeah, I don't see us selling him this season. I'd be surprised.
It's tough for him because another loan after three years in a row would be difficult for a player that's got ambitions of making it. And the one thing I say about Clark that I really like, there's a few things. I really like his style. I like he's good on the ball. He's technical. And he's quite pacey as well. But the other thing is he reads the game defensively. He can see when Stoke have lost the ball in the games I've seen, he's looking at where's runners, what areas do I need to close down. So he's quite tactically mature in that sense. Whether that will translate to him having a career, you just don't know. But I think he's definitely capable of playing at a lower Premier League side, if not Spurs.
Yeah, and we may well be that lower Premier League side. But I just think, like, Jack Clark, to me, he's got 2 years left on his deal. I'd be extending it. Right, because we've got nothing to lose, really. He might get a bit of a pay increase, he may not, but I'd be looking to try and do that. I don't think, I don't know if next year is going to be the season for him at Spurs, but there is something there that I'd like to see nurtured. And so if Skip can get a season in the Championship around the same age, why not Clark? I mean, he was born in, 2000, so he's just turned 20. He's so young. Let's give him another year and try to extend the deal. But yeah, definitely keep. I wouldn't want to sell him.
Okay. Right, moving on. Bergwijn hasn't scored a goal all season. What do you think, Calder? Is he worth keeping?
No. Sell him.
Okay.
No, I think he's a frustrating player. I mean, you didn't ask me on Jack Clark. Clark...
Because I don't think you've watched him.
My disappointment with Jack Clark is he's been on loan for a couple of years. He's mustered 20 appearances in 2 years. Yeah, in the Championship. I mean,
but that's our fault.
Loan him to a League One club. The way he's got to go.
That is our fault as much as anything. It's the same with Troy Parrott, isn't it? Didn't get games. We had to send him to.
These players go with, generally speaking, with a sort of understanding that he'll be in make X amount of appearances, will be in the first team, or whatever. I think we've got to, either hold teams to account or move into a low league or whatever. But Jack Clark needs football. That's fundamental with Jack Clark. Like Oliver Skip's and we've seen what he can do, as you've touched on. Steven Bergwijn, where do you begin? I think he started the season really well, but he was playing regularly, and I think he's been very in out of the team since. He doesn't score enough. I think the miss at Liverpool crushed his confidence to a degree, and he suffered a bit of abuse at the Spurs fans' hands on social media, which is pathetic. And I don't think that would have helped him at all. He needs a goal. He needs one to bump in off his backside or whatever it is, but he needs a goal. And I think he'll be absolutely fine. He's a good player. He's technical on the ball. He works hard. I'd like to see him have. He's playing like a player who hasn't got a lot of confidence. He never looks for the shot now. He was looking. If you go back to his early Spurs career, he was looking for opportunities to shoot all the time. It doesn't feel like he does now. It looks like he's looking to pass backwards slightly, or there's not enough penetration and directness. And I don't think that's instruction. I think that's confidence. I think he's scared of making a mistake. And I think that's a shame, because I think he's a very talented player and we've seen what he can do.
Yeah, and his shooting's been off as well. That's the thing. He almost seems like he's a bit desperate at times when he does get an opportunity. He snatches, he goes flying into the stands. But HG, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd keep him. Absolutely. I wouldn't
Mm.
sell him at all. Like it's weird. I feel like Bergwijn is almost becoming my Lamella in the fact that like everyone seems to love him, or
Yes,
like in my
actually,
case,
yeah.
yeah, I really like Bergwijn and I've got no stats to back it up. So, it's just it is like Lamella for other people. I don't know. I just there's something about him. I genuinely feel like he tends to make the right choices. He's good on the ball. He can
Mm.
keep a ball in tight areas. He's not phased by having lots of players around him. So I mean I agree with Cooler. He does need a bit of confidence. He needs to have one going off his butt. But I mean a right foot curler would be lovely too. But it's yeah, like so a player like that who can play all across the front line, again, still young. Yes, like we keep those players around. Like if you said to me, do I want to keep Lucas who can play all across the front line, or do I want to keep Bergwijn who can do the same? I'd
Mm.
pick Bergwijn, and not just because he's younger. I think Bergwijn is a better player than Lucas. Lucas can do many good things, but if you ask me which one I would keep, I'd pick Bergwijn over Lucas every time.
Not on current form. I mean, to put a bit of context to it. I mean, to talk about how low on confidence he is. Last season he had 16 appearances total, scored 3 goals.
Mm.
This season 29 appearances and no goals, and hasn't really looked like scoring since Liverpool.
Mm.
So
And I
it's
mean, you have to remember that those games that he mostly played in were at the time where we were playing defensive football. Like he hasn't really had a look in the last, let's say 6 weeks, 2 months, when we've started to look like we want to try and score a bit more. So
yeah.
it's tough. Like even the games I think at the end of last season where he looked better, it was the ones like Manchester United at home where he did score, but it was very much a defensive game, and it was his pace that took him through to score in that game. So it is a case of can we play on the front foot a bit more and give these talented attackers a chance to get some minutes with each other, because I don't know if we're really doing that enough.
He's a
We
player.
he
He's
is
a
a good player.
player. He's a good player. He's a player. I just feel like I want to shake him and go, "Come on, show us what you can do," because I think he's quick, but he doesn't demonstrate that he's quick
Yeah.
often. I think he has got that pace in him. He's always playing within himself. That's what I see. A player who is playing within himself and trying to play safe. There's
Mm.
nowhere to sell him. As HG says, he's 23. He's got years ahead of him. I think we need to give him another couple of years and see where we end up with him. But there's no reason why he can't make it. But he needs that sprinkling of magic to happen. Look
Yeah.
at Bale. Look, first time round, he was, for want of a better word, potential for a long time before he came good. And all it takes is a wonder goal, or a great free kick to go in, or a top corner volley, and all of a sudden that player gets confidence. He needs that, and he needs a manager to instill some belief in him.
Yeah, it's funny. Like we often talk about Spurs needing let's say a traditional number 10. Kane has been dropping back to do that, but probably the closest thing to a traditional number 10, or who can almost like a Eden Hazard, or someone who can beat someone with close control. Bergwijn is that guy.
Mm.
Like Son is not that type of person to do it in the center of the pitch. Son likes to be out wide where he's got space to run. Bergwijn has the ability to just shift it one way and then shoot. And we haven't seen it because, for lots of reasons. But I just think that there's more to Bergwijn than we've seen, and I want to keep him.
Yeah. Right, let's rattle through these last ones. A guy that we've just been talking about, Mr. Bale. Caller, what do you think? Do we keep him, try and keep him for another year, get him back for another year loan for his last season, probably as a footballer?
What, before he becomes a professional golfer?
Pretty much, yeah.
I'd have no problem with keeping him for a season, but I think we've got to play him. And like I said all the way through, the guy needs games, and I don't think that Jose's done him any favours. I don't think it helps that it was Daniel Levy's signing and not Jose's signing in effect. Because I think Jose sort of stuck 2 fingers up almost and said, "Well, I picked the team," kind of thing. So I guess the bottom line is, if Jose's going to play him, then yes, absolutely keep him. If not, that money could be better deployed on someone else.
What do you think, HG? He had a very slow start to the season, and like the things callers just mentioned, I think Jose almost maybe got the arse a little bit about Bale. Kind of, he did come out early on and say, "I want to get fit for the Euros," and it does seem like that has been his motivation, is to get more regular football, and maybe saw Spurs as like a step down from Madrid. So do you think he's done enough though in the last couple of months to see him sort of get another season at Spurs?
Yeah, I mean, it might be difficult to admit, but I mean, Spurs are a step down from Madrid. There's no doubt about that. Look, I just think that again, we've got so many attacking options. And we talked about this on the defensive pod. We've got so many central defenders. We've got so many attacking options. We need to decide where we want to go, right? Because we've looked at Lamella and Lucas this season and thought, okay, they've done quite well, probably better than Bergwijn has done, certainly better than Dele has done on the minutes that they've had. So, like, are we going to go with the form player, or are we going to go with the people that we think are better, the ones that we think might work together, or even just decide, we're going to go with youth. So sorry, Gareth, you're 32 in the summer. We don't want you anymore. We'll go with Jack Clark and we'll give him those minutes. That we just need to make those decisions. Like if Sabas comes in and takes a role, then someone's got to go. If Gareth Bale is the one that leaves and Sabas takes that, then great. But we need to figure out what we want to be. Like if we're going to have players like Bale that come in and basically become the experienced head that can do a job, even as a substitute, then I think we need more than we have done from Bale because, frankly, it looks like he's not really cared too much in certain games. So it's tough. Bale is very much a luxury now. And do we want to have that next year? I don't know. I really don't. I just I'd love to see Bale stay because we know he's got quality. But if he didn't come back, I won't be complaining too much.
Here's a curveball for you. We're playing about 250 grand a week for Bale's wages. Aguero's available on a free. Would you rather have Aguero or Bale for that money?
Well, it's a decent argument, to be honest. The thing that's frustrating me with Bale, like you said, HG, is it just seems like sometimes this season he's not really put in as much effort as you would have hoped. He knows what a decent player is. He knows his position, and I don't feel if he was a young, hungry player, you would have got a lot more out of him. And I think that's been slightly annoying because you've seen he's got moments of brilliance. He's got an eye for goal. He's scored goals.
He can still do it.
Yeah, but he just doesn't necessarily want to that much. I think that's the problem, Caller. Right, moving on.
The problem is, I think he's probably got the hump a little bit at Jose as well.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's the truth, and I think if you put in the backup of a player who's costing that amount of money, it's counterproductive.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The interesting thing is, like, obviously we're paying a lot of his wage. I mean, I think 40%, but it's still an awful lot of money. But next season, like Real have already come out and said, you are not playing for us again. Yeah. So we're in a similar situation where Real are either going to pay him 600 grand to play golf, or they're going to hope that some team comes in and says, okay, we'll pay a portion of that salary and he can play for us. I don't see anyone better than Spurs offering that deal. And I think Levy will be like, actually, the leverage is even more with us now. So we'll pay 20% next season and get him on loan.
If he'd have had an amazing season, set the world on fire at the end of it, you could have got Man United coming in going, oh, we'll have some of that, or whoever else who's got deep pockets. But you're right. The reality is he's had a decent month in a whole season, and you're not gonna stick 250k a week on that, are you?
No. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a long game. Maybe Jose's like, I want you in the second season, so just play averagely, get yourself fit, and we'll get you back.
You watch at the Euros, he will literally tear it up, own it for Wales, top scorer.
And they'll still go out in the group stages.
Of course they will, yeah.
But it's clear he's definitely going to retire from football as soon as the World Cup is done. Right? If Wales qualify or whatever, the World Cup is the winter 2022. Yeah. He'll be without a club from the summer on. He'll be training for the World Cup if Wales qualify, and then that will be it. Right? Like I think it's pretty clear he's got no desire to play on after that.
I don't blame him.
If he does. No, I mean, I can understand why you wouldn't want to. He's made enough money to last 10 lifetimes. But it's still it is all about, what Gareth wants to do with his career. And the club, they need to think about the club and not about Gareth. I mean, we've talked before about Skip. Do we want to do what's best for Tottenham and not what's best for Skip? And it's the same with Bale. Like, we have to do what's best for Spurs. And if Bale isn't that, then, sorry, you got to go.
Yeah. Right. Lucas up next, very inconsistent, but he's had some alright games this season. What do you think, Caller? Time to get rid, or do you think he's got another season in him at Spurs?
He's won me round a bit lately, actually. He's played really well last few games. Really well. Yeah. Productive. Still does the old thing that HG hates and runs around like a headless chicken. But honestly, big improvement. I'm really impressed with him lately. How old is he? 29.
I don't think he's that. I think he's 28.
28. He's getting on. I think if we got a good offer for him, I'd consider selling him, to be honest. But I don't think anyone will come in with a good offer, so I think he'll still be there.
I mean, that's it. The contract length is for Lucas. He's got what, 4 more years after
I
this?
thought it's 3, isn't it? But
I don't know, maybe 20. Like I think
either way, it's a long time.
it's a long time for someone who, again, has never really been anything more than a squad player. Like we all know what we're going to get. We all know he never gives up. We all know he leaves everything on the pitch. All those things that basically mean you're not good at football. It's because the thing is, like, if I'm a footballer and someone's talking about how hard I work and I'm an attacker, that to me it's like Dirk Kuyt. Like, none of us would have wanted to sign Dirk Kuyt when he was at Liverpool, even though he chipped with the
Come on, not that
HG, that's
bad.
harsh. You know, he's got very good close control. He just tends
it's
to
like-
then
like-
run
like-
into
he
He
five
put us
players.
single-handedly into the. He gave us the only real exciting good moment of our Spurs supporting careers. The real like pinnacle. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, it was a massive
I mean,
moment.
let's give the guy a little bit more respect than that.
he made
He's
Poch cry.
He did. He made me cry. He's 28 years old.
Like,
I'll
I
love
don't
him
feel
forever.
like I'm
I'll love him
disrespecting him.
forever
I'm
for
just
that game.
I'm just saying that, like, we often talk with our attacking players about how hard they work, and I don't think that's a selling point. I'm sorry, like, for an attacking player, I don't think it is. It's
No.
like
I'm not
saying
saying it
it's
is.
like saying that, Eric Dyer is a terrible defender, but he scores 10 goals a season, but he's in the job he's in the team to defend. That is the issue. So
I mean, if
like,
Dyer scored 10 goals a season, then I'd have slightly more time for him than I do.
I understand, but that's the point. Like, so the fact that Lucas has had a good month, great. I'm thrilled because it means that we've won a few games.
But in Lucas's career,
but
in
he's
his
been at
career, HG, in his career, he has had good times.
he's been at the club for 3.5 years. Right? That's a long time. And let's be honest, it's not like he wasn't in the team. He played a lot under Pochettino as a front two. He played a lot of Mourinho. Went a whole, like, almost a calendar year without scoring in the league. That's a problem. So, I understand he's had a good. It's almost like the contract year. He's had a good few months. So we'll keep him for another season. We all know that Mourinho loves him. We all know that he's probably going to stay. But yeah, I think. Yeah, given his age and given the fact that I do think that we could probably do better. Like, I don't know. Like, if it's Lucas or Lamella, then I say get rid of Lamella and Lucas can stay. But frankly, I'd be thinking, well, maybe both of them could go on and let's try and get a couple more in. Like, this rebuild that we've heard a lot about being painful, let's rip the plaster off and go for it. Because I just don't think Lucas is ever going to be the consistent first-team Premier League star. 10, 15 goals a season that we maybe want him to do. I don't see it.
Okay.
I agree with you. He needs to be more productive. I mean, but he's also not that old. He's in the contract till 2024. Just to answer a couple of things, he's 28 years old and the contract till 2024. I didn't realise this. Google's a wonderful source of material. He was Paris Saint-Germain's record signing when he signed for him. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Amazing. But
then they bought about 15 other players that were more expensive. So
yeah,
he was just one of the first in the door.
And
it's a bit like that year we broke our record transfer fee about 8 times, and
exactly
with the Bale money. But yeah,
right. Let's rattle through these two because these are going to be no-brainers, even though we've talked about it before. Son, Caller, what do you reckon?
If he doesn't sign a new deal, sell him.
This summer?
Has he got 2 years left or 1?
I want to say 2, yeah.
Yeah, because if he's got 2, then you keep him. I would keep him for that 1 year, right? I don't see any reason to sell at 2. He's the more likely to be sold.
But it's the value. The value is going to be significantly less with a year left on his deal. Like it'll be peanuts in comparison to what we could sell him for now. I mean, really, they just need to make a bloody breakthrough with pay him what he wants. Ultimately,
I don't think with Son it's about money. Like, again, Son is approaching that final contract of his career. He's been at the club for 6 seasons now. That's a long time for a footballer, and he's won nothing, sadly. So if I'm Son's agent, I'm thinking, play another year at Spurs, don't sign anything, see what happens. Like, he clearly loves the club, but if we're not going anywhere and he gets a better offer, he's going to take it. So I just don't think, given what he's given to Spurs, it doesn't make sense to me to say, like, in a depressed market like we have right now, to sell him, because there's a chance now that someone might only make, let's say they offer 40 million for him in a time where no one has any money, and then next year when people have got money again and the confidence is back, his value has gone down to about 35 million.
This is
Because
the part of moving pieces, though, isn't it? So
Mm.
if for example he won't sign a new contract, and PSG, let's say, because they're a cash rich club, Pochettino's there, we know he will like Son, and they offer 60 million quid for Son, which is good money. Hypothetically, bear with me on it. What do you then do?
I think the problem in the background of all of this is that I don't think any of us have faith in our scouting network that we're going to get someone of equal or better quality, do we? That's the thing. It's all
Yeah,
very
but
well
it's
saying, "Oh, we can get 5 players with that money." Yeah, that'd all be awful.
No, I don't think we would. I think we'd get one good one, to be honest. But you'd get one that wants to be at Spurs.
You'd get
That's
something
the
like
point, isn't
Julian
it?
Draxler. You'd get something like that. You would. You just. It would be
Right.
available
because
for like 5 million.
on a free.
Yeah, something
Look,
like that. I
in
know
an
he's-
ideal world, there's no way I'd sell Son. I'd keep him. But all I'm saying is, if we let his contract go down to a year, we're going to be getting rid of him at a very low price.
Yeah.
And is it worth it for that one season when you could take the money and potentially replace him with a much more marquee style signing? So, for example, who's the guy from Juve we've wanted for ages? You know,
Dybala.
Dybala.
Yeah.
So here's a hypothetical, and I know it's hypothetical and it probably wouldn't happen, but if a good offer came in from Son and you could sign Dybala, would you do a deal then? I would.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. I mean, like, it all depends on what the finances are like this summer, because I don't think people are going to have money. So I don't think the drop from 2-year contract to 1-year contract with Sun is going to be that much, because of the fact of where we are. Because
Maybe.
I hope at least that the pandemic will
You
have.
may be right, but this is a politician's answer to my question.
No, it's not a politician's answer. Like, I mean, but that's what it's based on. So I
Would
can't
you do
answer
that
it.
deal?
If you said sell Sun now to buy Dybala, then the answer is no. I love Dybala, but the answer is no.
What, even if you knew that Son has no intention of signing a contract at Spurs?
But we don't know that.
No, but I'm hypothetical.
This could go on forever. That is true. We could go on forever. Ideally, we don't want to get rid of Son. We want him to sign a contract. And
Ideally,
if he does that, great.
Sign a new deal, Son.
Yeah.
I'll send you a signed Caller baseball cap in the post if you do.
My fear is that Jose will be like, I need him for the team, and Jose will keep him. His Kane, all of their contracts will start to run out. Jose will leave, and he'll do a Ferguson. He'll leave you with like the worst squad ever.
Yeah.
I think, like, honestly, with Son, I don't think Son is going to sign a new deal. I really don't. But having said that, I would still keep him for another season and let him go with 1 year left.
Fair enough.
That's where I am.
Okay. And what about Mr. H. Kane? What do you think? He's got 3
Keep.
years, so obviously a bit longer. I think keep is on everybody's.
There's no reason for the club to sell. Absolutely
There's
none.
none.
So
Unless there's something in the club's finances that we're unaware of that we desperately need money, or the club's going bust, that's the only circumstances we're going to sell him.
So hypothetical caller, we sell him for £100 million, get Aguero on a free, and have a party.
Not a good deal. Not a good deal because
It's not a good deal.
he's got years left in front of him and Aguero hasn't.
Yeah.
think about the party though.
Be a good party.
Be a very good party. Me and you in the South Stand rocking it. I tell you, Franco.
I mean, like, he's 6 years younger than Aguero. I mean, that is a huge amount of time.
Aguero's a great player to sign. I'd be happy to sign him as a squad player, but he's not going to be an automatic starter, is he? You know, and Kane is that out and out forward. I mean, I could talk about Kane all night in terms of the transfer nonsense that's going around right now. It is just nonsense. Everyone's second guessing him. A lot of it's shit stirring and trying to unsettle a player, but it happens every year. And it's happened every year for the last 6 years. Now, if Kane's head hasn't been turned in that time, why should it be turned now? He's still got one of the most successful managers in the game managing him. They're 3 points off the Champions League, could quite possibly make it, could win a trophy this season, could win a trophy next season. All his mates are at the club. His family is from round the corner where he's very settled. There's no real reason for him to go anywhere. He's been paid shit tons of money that he'll never need another he'll never need to work again when he leaves football. Surely, and he wants to go and do the NFL after, and he's idolised at Spurs and could break the club record. So, and bolted onto that, Daniel Levy will not sell to a Premier League club. Harry Kane, guarantee it.
Yeah.
I absolutely guarantee it. He will only sell to a European powerhouse, and the clubs that have got the money: PSG, Real Madrid, Barcelona, maybe Bayern Munich, maybe. There's very little else out there.
Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult move for him. And I think what you said about Sky, it's frustrating. What's more frustrating for me is Spurs fans on social media saying he deserves to go somewhere better. Seriously, take a look at yourself. But yeah, I think with Kane, he's a once in a lifetime. I'd love it. I think we'd all love it if he broke all of the records at Spurs, scored all the goals. He can do it, and I think Spurs is the place for him for at least another season.
In defence of the Spurs fans on social media, I think what they're saying is Kane is such a good player. It would be a real shame if he finished his career without any major trophies.
No, stop that. That's up for Kane to decide.
You're a Spurs fan. You want the best for your team. Shut up.
This is it. It's all about best for the club, best for the player. No, I want what's best for Spurs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. Finally, Vinicius. See, here's an interesting one because
I tried to defend him.
Vinicius has done all right in the Europa League this year. He's not looked too bad. He's had very few opportunities in the league, but I think what's the fee? Actually, like 35 million or something.
Yeah, like he's not worth the fee that has been pre-agreed, so we're not paying that.
Yeah, there's already talk that no surprises. Levy is already trying to reduce the cost. He's like, yeah, here's an agreement. Yeah, we'll agree to that. And then a year later, he comes back. That agreement we had. How's about half?
About 4 mil? 4 mil? Have we got a deal?
The thing with Vinicius is that, I've said this before. If we can get him on loan again, we'll do that. Right, because Benfica have him onto a long contract, so it's not going to hurt Benfica really.
Yeah.
If he has a good season at Spurs, then his value will go up. If they don't need him, then they'll let him go. Right. That's what they obviously decided this year. Whether it was because Jose's agent friend made it happen, but I think there's a chance that we do sign him this year. I really do, but it will be for far less than the actual fee that was in the loan agreement.
Yeah.
Benfica might need the cash. It's more likely that they'll need the cash than it would be if Spurs do. So, if we can,
so we'll hold them over a barrel and do a deal paid over the next 6 years, completely performance related.
Something like that.
Probably something like that. A friendly every year in Lisbon, so Jose can go home. It's. I do think we'll sign him, but I think we should keep him because. He may not look great in build-up play, but he scores, and that's what you want. That's just it. That's his job.
What do you think, Caller? Young big Vinny or old little Aguero?
Aguero. All day long. Both. Why not both?
Yeah, we could have both. Why not?
If you said, as you said before, take away Bale's wages and give it to Aguero, I'm all in. But I think Vinicius. Yeah, I'd want them both because Aguero is not.
In all honesty, Aguero would probably want to go back to Latin America or wherever. In truth, but I'm just spitballing that 200 grand a week could be better spent on a player that we really need. Vinicius, for me, hasn't really done enough. I'd be happy enough to see us sign him on another loan. Really, I wouldn't want to see us sign him permanently if we don't need to, because why would we tie up? Potentially lumber ourselves with another Lamella, if you like, if we don't need to. The leverage is all with us. I can't see anyone else coming with it. He hasn't set the world on fire. The guy's got a terrible touch for a Premier League footballer. He might have banged a few goals in the Europa League and scored a tap-in last game out, but I'm not to be convinced by him at all yet. His movement is terrible. His touch is terrible. Because he scored a few goals against a pub team does not make him a Premier League footballer. And for me, I would rather see us putting eggs in a more proven Premier League striker as a backup, if there's an option out there.
Yep.
But the reality is we're shopping in the bargain basement. Sadly, there'll be lots of people saying we shouldn't be, but that's where Vinicius is. He's in the bargain basement. Was there a clamour to sign him from all the top teams? Absolutely not, and you can see why, because he's got like the touch of Miss Doubtfire.
But I mean, the thing is that we have to be fair to him. Like he was the top scorer in the Portuguese league. You don't do that as a fluke. They weren't
You
all.
could be the top scorer in the Portuguese league.
Yeah, probably, but that's because I'm actually quite good at football. I just no, you have to be fair to him. Like obviously he's been in and out of the side. He's not played regularly. I mean, he's barely. I mean, it was ridiculous that the stat up on our Facebook page about which of these statements was true, and nobody guessed the actual true statement, which was more football this season than Carlos Vinicius. Nobody believed that was true, but he had. At that point, Dele had played more minutes in all competitions than Vinicius. We've barely seen him, but we feel like we've seen him a lot because we've had all these Europa League games. But a lot of them he didn't start, or he went off at half time. Like the Antwerp game, especially, he started that game and was pulled at half time.
Yeah.
So it's a bit unfortunate, but yeah, like, I agree with you. Like loan is what we should be doing. But I think that loan would be a great idea. Signing someone, yeah, I fully agree. We would prefer to sign someone better, permanently. But yeah, like
that guy's had more loans than Daniel Levy this season. He's been on loan his whole career. He's 26. Would it surprise you to know? I mean, this is the thing. I don't think Vinicius is going to make it. Is my bottom line. He's 26. If he was any good, he'd have made it by now.
No, some of these players do come in late, especially if he's had a strange journey from Brazil, isn't he? It's not always that simple. But yeah, I agree. He's not the sort of player.
Lost in the Bermuda Triangle or something?
He got lost coming out of Manaus. He had to walk through the Amazon. It took a long time.
The jungle. Yeah.
Fought off piranhas in the water and all sorts. Jaguars.
Aaron Jolly style. Shout out, Aaron.
Had met a drunk Brendan McGurty as well. That was his biggest test. Right. With this one is like nearly twice as long as we did on defenders. I don't know if that's just because you're here, Caller, rabbiting on or what. But,
we've got what 8 attacking midfielders. I mean, that's just it. And we didn't even talk about Sessegnon, who's coming back. So I mean,
summarise the defence in seconds. Sell the ball.
Should have had you on. Should have been a much quicker video. Yeah, Cess. I didn't really know where he fit. And you're right. I didn't mention Danny Rose in the other one either. Danny Rose is gone. And Cess is going to stay, isn't he? He's been loaned out and he's done all right, so he'll be here next season.
But this is it. Where's he going to play? If Son is the left winger,
he'll be reloaned. He'll be reloaned. You won't see him back next season.
I would be surprised. I think you're right. I think Cess might get a loan in the Premier League, but if we keep Reguilon and Davies, which we both said, on the other video, we all think that Davies should stay. Where's Cess play? Is he a winger? Maybe. Is he a fullback? Possibly. We still don't really know. So Cess is a weird one because if Son was sold, then you'd have Bergwijn and Cess down the left. You'd be like, okay, they're options. They're not great ones, but they are options, and it would give them playing time. There are lots of decisions, but yeah, Sessegnon is still. He's still got 3-4 years under contract with Spurs.
Yeah, 4.
And again, and he's 21.
Future potential.
Yeah,
he's potential.
21 at the beginning of May. He's still so young. If we could loan him again, like weirdly to Norwich or someone who gets promoted, or someone maybe a bit more mid-table, it would be good. Go to Villa and play there. Things like that. There's going to be teams that would want him around, but is he going to play for Spurs? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. We overpaid for him.
Yeah, probably. But he's still got some value. We'll see. Right. I'm going to call this one to an end. Thanks ever so much, guys. Caller, you can go and play with your PS5 now.
Yes.
It's late, though. I expect the volume will have to be low.
No, I'll just stick my wireless headphones on and Bob's a good one. Bob's a good one. Job's a good one.
Gadget man he is.
I'll be honest, I'm quite tired. I'm probably going to go to bed. I'll be up at 6, so...
Yeah,
fair play. Fair play. Right, well, cheers for joining me, guys. And don't forget to subscribe and please like the video. It really helps. And until next time... Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.